En als ik zeg grote bedrijven en het geld, je moet dus denken aan namen als Warburg. Je moet denken aan namen als Rockefeller. Je moet denken aan namen als Rothschild.
Wat zijn dat voor bedrijven?
Dat zijn families.
Oh.
Dat zijn de rijkste families op aarde. En die hebben aandelen in alle banken, waaronder de centrale banken, waaronder de Wereldbank. En die regelen kunstmatig het geld.
We feel that we need a world government. We need governments of the world that work together and collaborate. But I can't imagine that there would be any likelihood or even that it would be desirable to have a single government elected by the people of the world. So I think whatever you heard was misrepresented my feelings.
Okay. So the first question is, he says, I don't want a government of the world elected by the people of the world. Okay, that's the key little sort of wiggle thing there. He likes a secret government of the world, is my guess, not one actually elected by the people of the world. Okay?
Ironically, however, the very innovations that are making possible dramatic improvements in human well-being are also creating new problems which raise the specter of an alarming and possibly catastrophic disaster to the biosphere we live in. And herein lies the dilemma that we all face. Let me illustrate. Improved public health has caused the world's infant mortality rate to decline by 60% over the last 40 years. In the same period, the world's average life expectancy has increased from 46 years in 1950s to 63 years today. This is a development which, as individuals, we can only applaud. However, the result of these positive measures is a world population that has risen during the same short period of time geometrically to almost 6 billion people and could easily exceed 8 billion by the year 2020. The negative impact of population growth on all of our planetary ecosystems is becoming appallingly evident. The rapid growing exploitation of the world's supply of energy and water is a matter of deep concern, and the toxic byproducts of widespread industrialization have increased atmospheric pollution to dangerous levels. Unless nations will agree to work together to tackle these cross-border challenges posed by population growth, overconsumption of resources, and environmental degradation, the prospects for a decent life on our planet will be threatened. The recent UN meeting in Cairo is appropriately focused on one of these key issues, population growth. But the controversies which have erupted at the conference illustrate the problem of coming to grips with issues that are deeply divisive and which have a profound moral dimension. The United Nations can and should play an essential role in helping the world find a satisfactory way of stabilizing world population and stimulating economic development in a manner that is sensitive to religious and moral considerations. Economic growth is, of course, an inevitable corollary of a growing population and is essential to improve standards of living. But without careful coordination, unrestrained economic growth poses further threats to our environment. This was a major subject of discussion at the conference in Rio de Janeiro on the environment 2 years ago. The focus then was on sustainable growth and global development. It was pointed out at the conference that growth is most efficiently managed by the private sector.
En dat systeem, dat werkt gewoon niet meer. Dat systeem, dat is gewoon voorbij. Want de dollar, we hebben nou zoveel dollars gedrukt om het maar draaiende te houden. Ja, dat die dollar wordt kunstmatig omhoog gehouden, al jarenlang. En dat moet nu gewoon, dat moet afvloeien. Nou, je ziet het, de banken hebben problemen. Wie gaat daar uiteindelijk voor betalen? Wij, door meer belastingen en hoge brandstofprijzen. Wij zijn hun shit aan het oplossen.
And only Peter Schiff has hit the fan. He saw this day coming and predicts an even worse one come Monday. Peter, good to have you back here on FBN. Explain what happens.
Well, unfortunately, the bailout is worse than the bankruptcy. You know, I mean, and the more money the Fed creates, the less attractive they make U.S. financial assets, which means the more assets the Fed's going to be asked to buy up because nobody's going to want any dollar-denominated debt, whether it's secured by real estate or anything else.
Okay, so if you had your druthers, just let them go.
You got to let them go. You know, I mean, if I had made the same bad bets as Bear Stearns, nobody would be bailing me out. You know, why should the average American have to pay more for gasoline and more for food because these Wall Street guys screwed up? Let them go under.
Weet je wat me zo irriteert? Waarom is het niet te bewijzen dan, dat alles met dat 911? Ik bedoel, waarom?
Het is te
lukt
bewijzen.
ze dat niet?
Nou,
Is er geen journalist die het voor elkaar krijgt of een paar journalisten?
Ik ben blij dat je dat zegt, Eline. Kijk, in Amerika waar het gebeurd is, van wie is de media? De media is in de laatste 10 jaar ongelooflijk gedereguleerd. Dat betekent dat je bijna net zoveel televisie of radiostations of kranten in de markt mag bezitten. Rupert Murdoch, ja, bovenaan, heeft de belangrijkste kranten in New York, waaronder ook net de Wall Street Journal. Hij heeft Fox, Fox News, hij heeft de hele filmindustrie heeft hij. Hij heeft net DirecTV, de satellietprovider van Amerika, heeft hij net gekocht. NBC is bezit van General Electric. General Electric maakt, even kijken, vliegtuigmotoren voor oorlogstuig. Dat is totaal onder controle, Elines. Verhalen worden gewoon weggehaald.
Maar er moeten toch ook mensen zijn, zoals bij bijvoorbeeld, ik heb All the President's Men gelezen, hè, dat boek over het Watergate-schandaal. Dan is er wel iemand die uiteindelijk uit de school klapt en zullen we zeggen, stiekem journalisten opzoekt en zegt, zo zit het. Waarom gebeurt dat niet?
Nou, dat gebeurt wel. Kijk maar eens naar die 911-pagina die je op de Hives hebt gezet. Dat gebeurt wel. Mensen staan letterlijk met complete verhalen en bewijs hoe dat in elkaar gezeten heeft. Maar er wordt geen aandacht aan besteed.
Down to the basement. The building has 6 sub-levels of basement. B1, B2, all the way down to B6. Basement 6, basement 5, all the way up to basement 1 were all Port Authority areas. Some of them have parking for tenants. Some of them have storage. B1 office, B1 level, is where they have the support office for my company, the cleaning company, American Building Maintenance. So I was talking to the supervisor, and at 8:46 we hear, boom! An explosion so hard that pushes upwards in the air, upwards. And it came out from below us, from the mechanical room that was right below us. And it was so loud and so powerful that all the walls cracked, the false ceiling fell on top of us, the sprinkler system got activated, and everybody started screaming so loud because they didn't know what was going on. And the first thing I'm going to say is that a generator just blew up on the B2 level, the level below me. And everybody's screaming. And when I'm going to verbalize it, 6 to 7 seconds after, we hear, "Bah!" The impact all the way on the top of the building of the plane. 2 different events separated by almost 7 seconds, separated by time. And now, I work in the building for 20 years. I know the difference of a sound coming from the top and one from the bottom. So when everybody started, what the heck is going on? A person comes running into the office saying, explosion, explosion. His hands extended, all the skin pulled from under his armpits, on both arms, hanging. And we thought it was clothing. It was part of his clothes. Until he gets closer, he was coming like this, like a zombie. Explosion, explosion. And when I looked at him, I realized it was his skin, like when you take off a glove and you let it hanging. And when I get to see his face, all this part was hanging of his face. And everybody started screaming in horror. And I say, don't move. The guy was a black guy named Felipe David, worked for a company called Aramark.